All right, first, let's see the results. That is a Honda 2000i generator, and the industry standard to test generator noise is 7 meters or about 23 feet. And that's what we are right now. I got a decibel meter on my phone here. We're going to check the ambient readings right now. It's kind of a cold day. It's only in the mid-20s, wind's blowing lightly, and it's really sunny out. But it's going to rain the next couple days, so we got to get done now or never. So I'm going to reset this and see what it averages out as. All right, we're going to call that 53 decibels in a completely silent zone with just the ambient noise around us. Now let's go start this thing up. All right, that is generator running on eco mode. I'm going to hit the reset button and see what the average is. Coming in at 62 decibels. I'm going to put it on full throttle. All right, I'll reset the meter again. Coming up with 66 decibels. Now let's go put it in the box and see the results. All right, it is at full throttle inside the box. Check our meter. $57. Now let's go put it on eco mode, see if we can't get it even quieter. All right, on eco mode, let's reset it. It's like about 56 decibels. So as long as we're running on eco mode, it's barely detectable. I got the microphone on my shirt right here. You know, if you can hear it or not, but it's just, I mean, you can just hear it kind of a little bit of the low rumbling, but it's very quiet. All right, now if you want to see what's inside that box and how I did it, we're going to go build it now. This is the first prototype, so I kind of sketched out a rough draft and kind of built it as I went. And so far I think it turned out pretty good, but my goal is to be completely silent so I can still hear it slightly. So let's make this a community build. As I build it, I'd enjoy if you gave me some comments, maybe some things you like, some things you didn't like, maybe add some things that, hey, maybe you could have done this that'll help stop sound even better. Let's try to keep it civilized though. I want to make a completely soundproof box, so with all of us together, getting our inputs in there, maybe I'll make a second version that's even better than this one. So let's head in the shop and do that now. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to build the box. So you just got to see the results. I'll get to find out at the end, but I'm really hoping it turns out as awesome as I'm expecting it to. So let's start out the build with a question. The whole reason I'm doing this is because I just booked a camping trip with Reggie. We're going out fishing for 6 days at a primitive campsite. And I'm going to need a way to charge my trolling motor and my camera equipment, but they don't allow generators there. So the question is, if you can't hear the generator, do I actually have a generator? Am I breaking any rules? So I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm curious what you think, so please let me know the answer to this question. So the goal I'm shooting for is to make a 100% soundproof box for this generator, but you know, realistically that's probably not going to happen, but what we do want to happen is to make it so the campsite next to us cannot hear it at all. I'm not a soundproofing expert, so I did my research before going into this build to make sure I did it right. And yes, that means I watched just about every YouTube video out there doing the same thing, but I only found 2 videos that I thought were good enough to use inspiration from. All the rest of them had some major flaw, which I will get to in just a second. And since there is a lot of misinformation out there on YouTube, I wanted to go to the experts. So One of the things I did is I went to Google Scholar. If you've never heard of that, it's just a Google search engine, but it brings up scientific papers and articles that are in scientific journals. So I read through all these scientific journals. They did all kinds of research on different types of materials and which ones are more soundproof than others. And I also consulted with some experts in the field that do this for a living to see how they do it in the best way to soundproof a box. So I'm gonna share the results I found as we go throughout this build. All right, to start off, there are three main things you can do with sound. You can reflect it, you can absorb it, or you can block it. So as far as reflecting it, just imagine yourself in an empty room with hard walls, and when you talk, you get all that echoing off the walls. That's because the sound is reflecting off the walls and you're hearing that echo. Now to stop all that echoing, you can add what a lot of people do is use acoustic foam. You can also use things like insulation, blankets, furniture, big soft items. Those things absorb sound, they keep it from reflecting off the walls. So if you put that room, you line it with these acoustic panels, you notice it sounds much better. But here's the one big flaw that most people do, is they take a generator box and they line it with this acoustic foam, which stops that sound from reflecting and echoing, and it may sound a little bit quieter, a little bit nicer, but foam does not block sound. Now, since we want to completely block the sound from getting out of this box, we need to use sound blocking materials. So what you want to use is heavy, dense materials. Objects like concrete, wood, rubber, mass-loaded vinyl, those kind of things. So for my design, I'm going to use a multi-layered technique to absorb the sound and also block it. So to start off, my outer layers, I'm going to have 3 layers of heavy, dense materials to block the sound. The first layer is going to be 3/4 inch OSB. I was going to use plywood, but OSB is much cheaper, so I went with the OSB and it has the same soundproofing properties. Then I'm going to follow it with, right here, some acoustic caulk, and then I'm going to put on 5/8 inch drywall. And by putting this acoustic caulk in between the layers, it helps keeping the sound transferring from layer to layer. And then on the next layer is going to be 3/4 inch heavy dense rubber. This is actually from Tractor Supply. It's an old cow mat, so it's really thick, and it actually has some like ridges on the backside of it too to kind of keep a small gap between the drywall and the rubber too, so that should also help. Then I'm going to follow it up with 3 inches of mineral wool insulation. This stuff is made for soundproofing and insulation. It's fire resistant and water resistant, so it should work well in here. Now all the materials I'm going to use should be readily available at most local stores. I did buy some fans here off Amazon, but other than that, I think I bought everything at my local hardware store. Now if you notice, most materials that are labeled as soundproof are extremely expensive, so I went with just ordinary materials that anyone could buy that are pretty affordable. I'm not saying this is going to be a cheap build, but I'm building it as cheap as I can, but still having it work. Okay, lastly, I need this to be portable because I'm going to bring this camping, so I want it to fit in the back of my truck. So I'm making it 4 feet long by 2 feet wide, and I want it to fit under the tonneau cover of my truck, so it's going to be 21 inches high. And I also went with these dimensions because you can buy a 4x8 sheet of plywood or OSB and you can cut it in half and it works out great, so you can use less wood while doing this. All right, let's start the build and I'll explain more as we go along. All right, before any build, I like to draw it out and kind of design it ahead of time, get an idea what I'm doing here. So you can see here, this is a top-down view. So it's going to be 4 feet long, 2 feet wide. Generator is going to be in the middle. And then we need an air intake and an air exhaust. So I'm going to have a bunch of baffles here for that. And I'm going to put some fans up here to circulate air through it. Here's just kind of a drawing of the walls. We're going to have 3 layers of the dense material, 3 inches of insulation, and I got about total about 5-inch thick walls on this thing. And here I just kind of laid out a mock setup here with some scrap wood to kind of get an idea how big it's going to be and where I'm going to put everything. And if you notice, I bought 2x8 sheets of OSB. I actually didn't have any full 4x8 sheets there, but I figured It was already cut 2x8. That's one less cut I have to do. All I have to do is cut those in half, and I'm ready to go, so that made it a little bit easier. All right, we're gonna cut a few of these up and we'll start screwing this thing together. So this is going to be our outer wall, 3/4 inch OSB, 5/8 inch drywall, 3/4 inch rubber. So that should be a pretty good sound blocking wall, and then we're going to put 3 inches of insulation on top of that to absorb the sound. All right, so one side is done. Now I'm just going to do the same exact thing for the other side, and then we'll screw it down to the bottom. Just going to use some 2-inch screws, come up through the bottom, and I'm going to put some wood glue underneath there to hold it nice and tight. Alright, so here's what we got so far. Nice thick walls. So we'll have 3 inches of insulation inside that. Then we're going to put a bunch of dividers in here. So we'll start working on the dividers next. Alright, on second thought, I'm going to put the rubber mat on the bottom first before I put in the dividers. Oh no! Cut the mat from the wrong side. I thought it was the 4-foot length, so I'm a little bit short. That might have just screwed things up a bit. All right, while I'm thinking about the mistake I made here and what I'm going to do about it, figured now would be a good time to talk about some more theories of soundproofing. Now, the easiest way to reduce the sound of a generator is to buy a quiet generator. Hondas are known to be one of the quietest generators out there, although they do come with a pricier price tag on them. They are really quiet. This one is the Honda U2000i. It's fairly small. It puts out, I think it says, I'm not sure how many watts. It says 13.3 amps on the front. Plenty enough to charge my trolling motor and even charge my camper battery at the same time. And it has an eco mode and a full throttle mode. When I run this on eco mode, it's pretty darn quiet. We'll test that when we're done here. So it's important to know the frequencies that you're trying to block. Now the main takeaway here is that low frequencies are much harder to block than high frequencies. Just think of that, kid driving down your street with his stereo turned up to 11. He's a couple miles down the road and you can still hear that bass thumping, but you can't hear the rest of the song. That's because the low frequencies of that bass can travel a lot farther and they're harder to block. So that's what this heavy, dense material is all about. That's why we got such thick walls in this, because we need to block the low frequencies, and then I got the insulation there to block the high frequencies. High frequencies are much easier to block. You can do it, as I said, insulation stuff will block that a lot easier. But those low frequencies need a whole lot more material. Now, just like everything, there's an app for that. If you need to know the frequencies that you're trying to block, this is called Spectroid, I believe. And just a quick shot at what it looks like. It's me talking right there. Hello, hello, hello. So it gives you all the wavelengths, frequencies that you're going to be blocking. There, you can turn it sideways and even get a little bit better view of it. So when I tested the generator, it went all the way from about 90 hertz, which is a pretty low frequency, all the way up to 10,000 hertz on a pretty straight line. You can see the screenshot I took of it here. So that means we got to block pretty much the whole range of frequencies. Now the other thing to know is if air can escape, sound waves can escape. So I'm going to take that acoustic caulk and seal up all these seams in here, try to make it as airtight as possible. Okay, the only problem with generators is that they need air. So you need an air intake and an air exhaust. And actually a lot of your noise is coming from the exhaust side of the generator. So I did a little mock-up here. I'll show you what I'm thinking of. I don't have this completely planned out yet. I'm just kind of building it as I go, but I have a preliminary plan kind of in place. So these boards are here just kind of help me visualize where things are going to be. So on the exhaust side, I'll have a board right up against the exhaust here, but I'll cut out a hole here so the exhaust can come through. Then it's going to hit a board, and I think it's going to go, I'm going to have to route the exhaust down. There'll be like a hole down here. It'll go through this board, then back up, and then out another hole here in this board. So sound doesn't like to make 90-degree angles. So we're going to try to make a bunch of 90-degree angles, and then I'm going to fill those baffles there with a bunch of insulation and other materials and hopefully absorb the sound as it leaves. All right, now looking over here, we got the intake side, kind of the same deal. I got two boards here, so I'm going to have the air come down through a hole in the bottom here, and it's going to go up and then through this. But what I'm going to do here, I got two of these AC powered fans, which I'll be attaching in this wall here to help circulate the air through it, and they'll just plug right into the generator. These things, these are kind of nice. They're all metal construction, they're AC powered, and they put out a lot of air. So this generator doesn't seem to get too hot anyway, but I want as much airflow going through there as possible in case, it's all enclosed here, so we want it to stay cool in there as well. All right, so I'm changing the plan on the lid because the rubber, I noticed that, it's kind of floppy a little bit when I get the dividers here that'll hold the sides on. But when I close the top, I don't want it kind of dripping down. Plus, I don't have enough now since I made the screw up on the cut there. But I think I'm going to do a layer of OSB, some drywall, and then another layer of OSB with the acoustic caulk in between. That way, it'll be nice and rigid and won't sag down on top. And here I just cut a test strip here to see where the lid would close when it is on. And then take a look over here. See, we got a good 3/4 of an inch or more just above the gas cap there. So we're good there. It does clear. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut out a little piece of rubber to fill in that front piece there where I'm short. Then I'm going to start cutting the dividers in here and kind of get them in, and so I can get a better visual what it actually is going to look like. First panel here, I'm going to put it right on the crack where I join these two rubber pieces together. Right, like that. And then I got my front piece like that. And then just to finish off the edge there, I made an end cap that'll go over all this like that. Well, then it'll look pretty nice. So before I screw all that in, I'm going to install the fans. All right, got where my fans are going to go. Now I'm just going to trace it out and cut out the hole. I'm going to have the fans so they rest in the middle of the board to take up less room. And I put the metal grills on these things because so these are all metal construction. The blades are metal. Get your finger in there accidentally, it's going to hurt. All right. Top. There, that's going to look nice. Not that you'll see it or anything, but just left a little bit of room up top so I can run the cords through there. All right, there's a little bit of look. What's better look? What it's going to look like once installed. Just got to figure out how I'm going to keep this in here, and I think I got a good idea. All right, it's time for me to go to my real job, so we'll pick this up tomorrow. All right. Leave her there for now. All right, good day's work. Now where the intake and exhaust is going to come out of the box, I found these two grill grates here or in my shop, but they're metal and they might make a little bit of noise. So I've got some of this rubberized undercoating just from Automotive Shop. I'm going to spray these down so it just gives it one more layer of soundproofing. And this thing actually does say helps deaden sound and it'll help with the vibrations when I screw this on if it doesn't rattle against the box. And also by putting these grill grates on the intake and exhaust, it gives it the air one more chance to have to make like another angle to get out, which will help deaden the sound also. So I'm just going to spray those down. It says for metal to use a self-etching primer to help it stick, so we'll get these things sprayed up and then we'll start working on the box again. All right, I'm going to finish the front end of the box first, so I'll get these fans secured in here and I'll get all the boards cut and we'll start screwing all that together and then we'll take a look at the finished product here. They're all installed, got that tied down, and it's just going to plug into this little extension cord right off the generator. Now let's plug it into the electrical outlet there and just see how much air they blow. For now, just put the electrical cord, otherwise it'll be plugged into the generator, but I want it to be quiet to see how loud they are. I measured them earlier and the one fan was like at 60 dBs. So that's why I enclosed the fans inside the box. We'll have another wall here to help prevent the sound from these fans. But oh yeah, it's pushing a ton of air through there. Get a closer look at it. You can probably hear just a little bit of a hum. It's pretty quiet though, it's not an annoying sound. I got a good 6-inch gap over here that kind of blows right into the air intake there of the generator. I think that'll be plenty of air. These things really put out a lot. Sweet. All right, now I'll just put the front wall on it and we'll stuff it with some insulation and stuff and see how quiet that makes it. I already got the air intake all insulated up. Take a look at that. And it should be nice and soundproof now. Now I'm going to work on the back side. All right, I'm making those end baffles for the exhaust. And since you got some hot air coming out of the exhaust, I'm going to line this piece of wood here with some, pretty sure it's aluminum. It came off the my cargo trailer, which I turned into an ice shack. I put in a window. So this is a section I cut out for the window. Nice thin piece of metal, perfect to stick to the front of this board here. So when hot air hits it from the exhaust, it shouldn't burn the wood or anything. So with the leftover rubber I had, I cut it into these little strips here. I got 5 strips. I'm going to put them underneath the box there. It'll keep the wood from sitting on the ground, keep the moisture off and that kind of stuff. And one more layer of insulation here to help absorb the sound. And on the very end, I got this 3/4 inch little board here, a little scrap piece I had. I'm going to put it on the very back because I'm going to be screwing some wheels into the back side so we can wheel it along, and I need something to screw into. So I'm going to cover this with my leftover undercoating. All right, things are prepped, ready to go. Let's start putting her together. See, I got the generator in here. So first thing we're gonna do is put some insulation. That'll kind of seal up around the exhaust of the generator. And then that first board, what I did with that one is I actually lined it with some aluminum tape. So I didn't have enough of that other aluminum, so we'll go with this. And I think it goes this way. So we'll end up screwing that in. Then we got our middle board. We got aluminum metal there, 3/4 inch OSB and 3/4 inch rubber. So I'll put the metal side right where the exhaust hits. And that'll go up top. Sort of like, yay, I'll screw this all into place here when I'm done. And then the exhaust is going to hit that, and this can go underneath, and it's going to come back up. And the final wall is the same deal with the metal and the OSB and the rubber. This time I put the wood and then the rubber, because I'm going to have another wood end cap. It'll sandwich that rubber in between. It's going to go like that. So the air is going to make a channel. It's going to go down, back up, out here. And then I'll put the final end cap on, just like that. And while I'm doing this, I am going to shove some, insulation along the bottom and the sides, and then we'll figure out how we're going to do the top here. So let's get building. All right, let's take a look inside of it. I'll show you what I got done so far. All right, starting at the air intake, goes in through here. You can see it's nicely insulated. And the main box, got the 3-inch thick insulation all the way around the sides. I'm leaving the front open here so I can plug in outlets and stuff right there. And then as it goes, the exhaust comes in through here. It'll hit this board, it'll go down, back up this side, and out here. Again, coming out through the grate right here. So before I put the cover on, we're gonna wire some electrical. I'm gonna actually put an outlet right out front here. So I'm gonna run some wires through the box to a plug that plugs into the generator. So when it's running, just leave it plugged in, then we can plug everything right to the outside without having to open it up. Hopefully this will fit through here. Yes, works perfect. Made the hole like the exact same size as the cable, so it's not to leak any extra sound out of here. Look at that. All right, looks pretty nice. All right, I've been debating what to do with the top here. I decided to just go with 2 layers of OSB because I don't have any rubber left, and I figured drywall, I want something a little more rigid that won't dent up as easy as drywall. So 2 layers of the OSB, and then if I do that, I should have just enough for like half a layer of insulation across the top. So I think that's what we're gonna do. And I'm also debating, I wasn't gonna put a hinge on the door first. I was just gonna put clamps on each side so it clamps down. But I think I will put some hinges on, because the door's gonna be heavy enough. It'll lay down pretty tight. Then just put 1 latch on the front to hold her closed. So I'm just gonna sandwich this with the acoustic caulk like usual. Well, it fits on there. I'll go find some hinges here so we can just flip it open. Then I'm going to put a handle, put some wheels down here in the back, a handle on the front so we can wheel it around easy and probably give it a good paint job, because we want it to blend in and have it so people don't know we have it. So maybe solid black or green or camouflage. See what paint I have up there. All right, I found some old hinges off a door I had out in the barn, so we're gonna see if these ones work. They don't go down real far, but I may have to get a bigger hinge if this doesn't work. But we'll try these out for now. All right, here it is. I'll probably put a little string there to keep it from falling backwards. Put the wheels and the handle and the rubber feet on and probably paint it up, and we'll be right back with the finished product. All right, it is complete. Let's take a look at it now that's completely assembled. Starting on the outside, you see I just added these latches that'll help cinch it down nice and tight. And going on the back side, again we got the exhaust vent. I put some wheels down here so we can lift it up and drag it along because it is quite heavy. I put some new hardware here. The other hinges weren't big enough, so got some ones that extended down a little farther. I put the rubber feet underneath it. And coming around this side, I added the handle here, which I bolted through because it's going to be holding a lot of weight. Got our exterior plug, the intake vent, and that's about all there is to the outside. I just found some leftover paint. I wanted some dark colored paint. Just remember, we're trying to make this thing disappear, so I just want it to be hard to see and don't want it fancy colors and standing out. Let's lift the lid here and see what's inside. I was debating whether to put a little string or some kind of hinge here so the door doesn't go all the way open, but I think I'll wait to see if I need that. Let's take a look inside though. Starting with the intake, the air comes in right down through there, goes out through these two AC powered fans, and again we got our nice thick walls between these. On the inside here where the generator goes, I got an orange extension cord. I just plug that in. It has both fans plugged into that. Then I have this black plug here, plug that in, and that goes out to the exterior plug. And I got the insulation all the way around, so that kind of seals that up for the exhaust coming out. And the first exhaust compartment here, I just put some aluminum tape against this board. Got 2 layers of thickness here and a piece of aluminum plate. It goes down, then back up through here, then goes out through this grill grate here. Got some more insulation in here. This wall here is about 3 inches thick. And out there. I did run a little test to see if there was enough airflow, and you can feel plenty of air coming out. And when I opened it up, it was nice and cool inside this compartment. So these fans really put out a lot. All right, now to go outside and test it to see if it actually works. You guys got to see at the beginning of the video what actually happened. I'm about to go find out. Oh, before you go, I'll put a complete parts list and cost breakdown stuff down in the description, so check that out. And this thing is going to be heavy. I don't know how much it weighs yet, but I do have a crane scale there. I'm going to see if I can't lift it up with my tractor and see what it weighs first. It's like about 56 decibels, so as long as we're running in eco mode, it's barely detectable. I got the microphone on my shirt right here. You know, if you can hear it or not, but it's just, I mean, you can just hear it kind of a little bit of the low rumbling, but it's very quiet. All right, so I just saw the results, and it's not bad. It's not exactly what I was shooting for. I was shooting for complete silence, but I usually run it on eco mode because that's all it takes to charge the boat. It doesn't have to wind up too much. And ambient was 53, eco mode in the box was only 56, so just slightly higher. DVs do run on a logarithmic system, so it's usually about every 3 decibels, I believe, is double the sound. So technically it was 3 dB more, so double the sound. But 60 dB is what I think campground standards are, is your generator has to be below. So we're well below that. I do have some ideas here to keep it even quieter, because I'm probably gonna keep that in the back of my truck or keep it down in my boat. So I'm gonna load it in the back of my truck and then see what it sounds like if that quiets it even more. And by the way, I just lifted that thing up with the tractor to test its weight. It's pretty much what I was expected. If you want to see how much it weighs, check down in the description. I'll put it down there. All right, let's go put it in the truck and see how loud it is. All right, it's in the back of my truck. Take a look. It fits perfectly. Hey, you can hardly even see it in there. Just fits under the cover, exact height. And got a little room, got about a foot there in the back. So we can plug it in, hopefully have the exhaust come out here. So I figure at most campsites, you're about 50 feet away from the other camper. So I put the tripod over there at 50 feet away from the truck. And usually I back in so the truck's gonna be sideways. Boat's gonna be behind me charging that. So let's go see what it sounds like from 50 feet away inside the truck. Okay, I got it running on eco mode inside the box, inside the truck. Let's reset our meter. Yeah, still averaging around 60 decibels. Just a little bit of wind will spike it up to 80 even, so that's how quiet it is. So earlier in the box it was only 56, so that tells you just the ambient noise, a little bit of wind, car going by, some birds squawking, it spiked it up to 60 actually. But just listening, I don't know if you can hear in the mic attached here. I'm gonna walk closer and so you can hear it. My footsteps are probably louder than the generator. They're standing right next to it. Just has a little bit of a low rumble to it. I'm not sure how to get rid of that. You got any good ideas to get rid of that? We'll be almost completely silent. Come on off to the side. So you can hear my voice. You probably hear the generator just a little bit. And if I walk away, you probably can't even hear it at all. All right, what do you think? I don't think it's too bad for a first prototype. If you want to see any more videos on this, let me know. Any modifications you want me to do. I'm just going to leave it as is unless you tell me you want to see something different and you want to see more testing with it. I know you can get a little more accurate decibel readers and stuff than on my phone. I was just going to do this one test, so I didn't want to get a meter just for that. But if you want me to do any more testing, any modifications to that, let me know, and I can always make another video about this. All right, it's been fun. Hope you enjoyed building this with me. You want to see more projects that I've done, just check out this playlist right here. I got all my projects in there. All right, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.